Grant.
the outlet at PA. It was, so the government put that back in the day.
Well, they put that in to regulate the lake, so it couldn't go.
Like a governor or a throttle on it, yeah.
And if we get our way on Pleasant Lake, we'll have the same thing. We can get that bog cleared out.
So you can lower it. There you want to lower it. You don't want to raise it. Grand Lake was they wanted to raise it.
No, the outlet itself, remember, it's 2.5 feet difference.
I know it.
We don't want to drop the lake 2.5 feet. So we're gonna have to put a lip on there or wherever they did at the Grand Lake one. So it can only go so far.
A weir.
If you remember, I started this 9 months ago. Cause you came out and lasered it. And I finally got to get 4 permits and I finally just got it from Stearns County.
To establish a weir so that it is like a controlling device that only.
No, to clean out the vegetation.
Ditch through there.
Which I probably won't even.
So how'd the meeting go with Main Prairie Township?
Well, do we want to talk at this format?
Yeah, we're in it together here, what the hell.
We got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Donnie and I met Sunday. And John was representing for the fire board this way. And Main Prairie Township was having.
Drifted a little bit here, Marty, but it's just the 5 of us.
They were having an issue with
Fire truck.
the dollar amount and how it got to be. And then they were questioning, and he went back and looked through the stuff that Marty had provided them, because Marty has provided their bill based on the actual cost for the previous year. That's how they.
Yeah,
And it's on like 8. This year's 9%. Last year was 8%. So whatever the total cost of the fire department was, they get billed 8%. Well, they said, well, we paid money in the truck fund. I said, no, there hasn't been a truck fund. And so John looked at all of his paperwork that he could see over the last how many years that there was no truck fund. So that truck fund wasn't part of the budget to be part of their bill. And they said, well, how'd you guys pay for it? And I said, well, as far as I know, it came out of the general fund. I said, we didn't have money set aside for it. So then when I went back and I talked to Marty, and Marty said, no, we had money in the savings account. It wasn't ear tag for anything. We took the money out of the savings account, and that's how we paid for it.
So it was set
So
aside.
then I told that to John, and he goes, okay, all right, well, that makes sense. Because what he was afraid of, or the Main Prairie Township was, that they had, through their yearly contribution, they would put money aside into the truck fund, and all of a sudden we're coming back at them again. I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, no, that didn't happen.
You realize that's a slam against me. I was stealing from him.
Well, I understand.
Yeah, but if you
I don't think it was you. I think it was directed
It
to
means
the
I'm
city of
double
Rockville.
dipping from the township.
So, but then tonight, or this afternoon, Donnie and I met down there because we went over the culverts on 210th.
Oh, talk about that. Has that been determined who's going to,
I'll get into that.
who's going to be doing the work? Okay.
So Knife River's got the contract,
Knife River does, okay.
but Knife River isn't going to pave until August. And they probably aren't going to mill till late June or July. But there's 7 culverts in the road. And I get my
For
notes.
sure?
Yep.
I didn't miss any.
No, in fact, we went through there tonight, this afternoon. There's 7 culverts in the road. The first, this is where we need to have some discussion here. The first about 400 feet of the road is entirely in the city of Rockville. From County Road 8.
Yeah, okay, from County Road.
From County Road 8 till it makes the first bend.
Yeah.
There's one culvert there, and Donnie and John and I agree it should be replaced.
Okay.
And the reason being is the bottom of it is getting rusty, and it's been in there about 35 years. And there's not a hole in it now, but if you're gonna put a tar road on it that's gonna last 30 years, we don't wanna have to dig it up in 10 years. So John's thinking that section of road plus the culvert should be all our bill.
We're not gonna change the contract that we have
this is what he talked about tonight. And so we need to discuss how, or if we should change that or whatever. But the next culvert going up the road is a 24-inch, and it's about by Jerry Molitor's property
Okay,
line.
so that's on the shared road.
That's all on the share road. It's a concrete pipe that needs to be replaced and needs to be redone. It's a disaster on the south side of the road, and on the north side of the road, I pointed out to Donnie, this is what we were talking about on that Molitor property. That field had washed in and it filled that ditch in, and that needs to be cleaned out. There's 2 feet of sediment in there for about 150 feet.
It's a lot in there, yeah. It's
That's what I was telling you about, it's highly erodible, and Corey argued with me that night. So anyhow, that needs to be addressed. Then the next culvert, 3, is a 24-inch, and the next culvert after that is 4. Number 3 is about at the bottom of the hill, just past Doug Brink's.
Okay, yeah.
On the north side, the culvert seems to be okay, but on the north side of the road for about 75 to 100 feet,
yeah.
needs to be cleaned out. There's over a foot of dirt in front of the culvert that's all settled in, and it needs to be cleaned out so it'll run.
So the question is, Brian, is that a city obligation, or is that Main Prairie and city collectively? 'Cause
Well, it's collectively.
Oh, it is. So that's,
We felt
he's
that would
amenable
be,
to
that
that?
would be collectively.
Okay, okay.
John felt that because the water is both of our waters and we gotta get it to run,
Yeah, yeah.
it's collectively. Culvert number 4 is the next one up the hill, and there's actually a ditch block there. And I don't know if you know what a ditch block is, but it looks like an approach, goes to the south, and there's no culvert in that. But there's a culvert that goes under the road to make the water go across the road. Same scenario there, that needs to be cleaned out, because on the north side of the road, it's all silted in and the culvert can't run clean. Culvert 5 is up the line, that's also a ditch block. And that one is fine, don't need to do anything with it.
The culvert's fine, but no dirt? I
No
mean, the
dirt
has-
work, no nothing,
Okay.
everything is fine. Culvert number 6 is a steel culvert, and that's up the hill farther, and there's a ditch block there as well. And that one is fine, doesn't need anything. In fact, the culvert looks almost like new, other than there's a little bit of rustiness in the bottom, but that's a pretty normal thing. Culvert number 7, which is almost to the top, and that's a concrete culvert. It's an 18-inch, that needs to be replaced, plus it's gonna need a little bit of grading work on the north side to get that to run. That's all silted in over there too. And those, he felt they were all shared with the city.
So he had no problem pushback there at all, sharing
Nothing
that?
whatsoever.
The balance
The
of it?
only thing that he
Yeah.
had, was
Culvert number 1.
culvert number 1 and where that road turns.
I've got the contract on the TV. This contract is similar to every contract you've done with Main Prairie Township forever. Now, all of a sudden, I'm sorry, I don't buy this.
Pond says
I don't
fair.
buy this, that he brings this, now that he wants to change the contract?
No,
After the
but
dispute.
getting back here a little bit if I could, and so the total budget came in below what was proposed. I mean, the quote came in below what was budgeted, but was there culverts that were gonna be exchanged into?
I don't know if that, because they do have a quote from Hendricks to do the culvert work,
Okay,
but Donnie, it was unclear to me if that quote covers the first one.
I don't know, I don't remember that, what did it say? We were discussing it when I got there, but, and the culverts were gonna be decided either steel or,
No, it doesn't cover the first one because it's wrote on the road that it just needs a
extension.
extension, but the end of the culvert is all beat up. And it's rusty, and we agreed after looking at it, it should just be replaced.
the root question that we have is, do we pay all of it on that first stretch? Is that one of the decisions
Well,
that
that's
we
what
have
he
to?
came up with tonight, so I wanna read this.
Okay,
The town,
Says it's County Road 8 all the way to Wakefield Township.
where do you see that?
Number 4, it says it's 50/50.
You gotta hold it still there so I can read it. No, you don't even have 4 up there.
Number 1 is where it says from
John said tonight that, no, that's all the city of Rockville, that,
Part of it is, we addressed that when we fixed it last year.
okay. So, and he said it was because of sewer easements, or in the right of way?
No, Grand Lake Road takes a dip to the north, and that comes out of the township, that's addressed in our agreement.
Right, no, that's not what he said. John said that from County Road 8 up to Molitor's, that Molitor's flooring is on the line. But he said, no, when the judge had it in the, whatever, when the detachment came, that's all part of Rockville. That's what he told me tonight.
I don't have that agreement in front of me.
So, you might wanna,
There's a Grand Lake, we have an agreement with Main Prairie Township for Grand Lake Road as well.
so you might wanna just look that up, just for
I don't
clarity
need to look it up.
purposes.
We're not doing that maintenance, Brian. I'm getting pissed because you're bringing something up to this council that's brand new when we signed this contract last month. This is the contract we agreed to. Now he's giving you pushback on the fire contract, and lo and behold, he wants to amend this contract.
Right.
And that's two different issues here. The
No, I know, I'm
contract,
just,
and then
but this is what he said tonight, and I said, well, I don't know, I said, yeah, legally, this is all in our city, but,
This is what you've done since this contract is similar to the other contract.
well, then, if they've got this signed and it's whatever, then that's what we need, then that's what we need to go by. I totally agree with you.
But the question is, do we put culverts in? Is that still in flux at this point? Do we,
I think that's all part of the project.
That's part of the project.
what is?
Yeah, that's all part of the project. We were just verifying that this is what needs to be
Oh,
done
okay.
and not.
Just a minute. I don't think it's part of that bid,
Base.
of the mill reclaim and overlay. The culverts was separate,
As an addendum or an added?
and John had asked to talk to our guy, and I think council gave the blessing when Gene reported this. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, if the culverts need to be fixed, let's fix them.
Yeah.
If that's an addition to the work, that's an addition.
Sure.
If it's part of the contract, Brian, that's fine.
I don't know if it is. I just assumed that it was.
But we do have the funding available because we had allocated like $200,000 for it and the quote come in less. And so if we do decide that, yes, the culvert's needed, and that's what I hear from you guys, then let's continue, if it wasn't a base bid or if it's an addendum, whichever, but make sure that we get it done so that we don't go and put a brand new thing on there and 5 years later, somebody's got to.
Well, and that's just it. And I think it was probably a week to 10 days they want to put the new culverts in.
Oh,
So
and
the-
even if the work isn't going to be
So
done.
then they can get,
Okay.
so then it can get beat down and packed in there,
Okay,
so we
that's-
don't have any issues when they come
Can
to
we switch
pay.
back over then, so that's clear, can we just back up a little bit again to the fire department?
Yes,
then?
I wasn't quite done there.
Yeah, okay, and then we can make the rest of the meeting.
John had told, they had a meeting last night after I gave him that information yesterday. They had a meeting last night and they agreed to, they're gonna pay it, but they said over 5 years. Well, that was without our discussion, cause Donnie and I went down there on Sunday and I told John, I said, well, the city would be okay with, if you wanna do some payments. And John said, and he said, oh, we got the money, that's not the issue. Well, so we dropped it, we never talked about any more about,
Yeah.
so that's, partially my fault, partially
Yeah.
John's fault. Well, then last night, when they were at their meeting, they said, well, we'll do it over 5 years. So we need to figure out how we wanna address that. And I told John tonight, I said, well, the city was looking at a 2-year. We could do 2 years. And he goes, oh, and that's all he said. So I don't know if he's bringing that back to them or what they're gonna.
I thought, yeah, we had talked about it as 3 here, something like that, as minutes, that we.
Well, so you go back and tell him 3 and he'll be happy.
Yeah, if that's the case.
Okay.
You compromised.
Let me check the minutes. Mr. Mayor, you got 1 minute.
Okay, and this is.
Can we take a quick break?
Sure,
1 minute break?
of course.
Okay. So that's what
Social
we were discussing.
Yeah.
You don't get mad at me when I get feisty, do you?
What the heck?
Why should I get
I
mad?
get blood pressure goes up when they pull this
No, you
stuff on
cornered?
you guys at the last minute.
That you cornered?
But,
Oh,
you
gotta
know,
pay for all
why
of it.
not?
This is a little bit
been doing
John's
this.
style, though, when you think about it. That's how John, I've known him for many, many, many
Well, I
years.
have too,
And
but-
he'll always,
What
around the
hell?
edges,
What's
he's always
what's the
nibbling at
reason
the
behind
edges.
that? To take a crop up, you don't,
Yeah.
you put that plow it under.
Instead of getting more land, I just
then I don't even need to bring this up for addition to
Well,
the
if you
agenda?
want to or something like that, but I think without anybody here tonight, we should have record time. I haven't had supper and I gotta make.
I haven't either, so. Okay.
I hate that rumbling section. And I have to, I have to even do my own laundry, so Diane's been gone for over a week now.
The north driveway that goes out this place.
Do me a
north driveway
favor.
Past that.
When you see Diane, or if you see, when you
139
see
around
Andy,
there,
give him my
that's done,
best,
and then
will ya?
Oh, yeah.
yesterday when I came home from where was I, out to see David or what?
He's,
That part, that
been
side
married
there, they
49
helped.
years, and
Yeah,
that's not a
covered it with
record, but it
dry manure.
beats the
They were
average.
just putting a hose
Now,
out to
at
put
age
liquid there.
70,
And then today, where was that? The post office?
Well,
Just
you've
I
been
saw
with them for years.
trailer, truck and trailer come out with one of the pumps on.
Yeah.
So it done, but I went down, I went to St. Joe's.
He's
and
a
I had to
tough
take my
ornery
chain.
old guy, though. He'll make it,
139
Brian.
is all covered. It's all.
Gotta be
I hope
optimistic.
so.
You see them when they
He's a
turn
tough
the
old
bottom,
bird.
still sitting in there.
Okay, we're ready,
I went
gang?
to fields like by, at that Jerome Carl's, he
Okay.
planted all that for him, but the
Brad, you
cornfields
ready
like
to
at
roll?
home, they're all planted.
Okay,
I don't know.
great.
You know, take the rain.
It is officially roughly 6 o'clock. We'll call the Rockville City Council meeting to order. We had a prior workshop session. We might share some of the stuff. Very little happened in that one. No council action was taken, obviously. So we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. It appears all of the council members are present, so we can officially have duty. Please silence your electronic devices. And we will be looking any additional. Before I get into that, I would just like to take a fleeting moment. We did not have a council meeting last month or a workshop, Monday workshop 1 month. And so we've had, the city has enormous amount of activity, though it's not seen publicly. And Mr. Bodie certainly has had a lot of phone calls as it relates to things council members have, mayor have, but strategic alignment for our council really showed this last 2 months, and that is the fact that with the layers of government having, with the COVID-19 pandemic, lots of layers of what you can do and can't do, we collectively came up with something unique that says, let's not harass people and add another layer or something like that. So from my perspective, I think to the council, we did the right decision by not intervening in the day-to-day action of anymore. And Mr. Bodie, I invite you to share with the public how you're the one that's out there day in and day out in the trenches, how we as a council reacted, probably the employees, staff of the city that reacted, but even the public reaction of not allowing the front door. So if you just share to embellish for a little bit.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor and Council. The shelter in place went in effect sometime end of March or somewhere in that vicinity. And initially, City Hall was closed but doors not locked. And then the requirements for the public went up a little bit higher, I believe. And so then we ended up locking the doors. And during this time, the council has been absolutely 100% supportive of staff, of trying to work with the public and working with the governor's actions. The public has been awesome. There hasn't not been one negative call to City Hall or one negative visit expressing any disappointment or dissatisfaction with how City Hall is being run. Staff is absolutely, you've got awesome staff with Debbie and Judy and Jean and Fabian. They're just, whatever we ask them to do as a council or as administration, they're 100% on board with. Public Works was alternating their work hours to try to, in many times, it's public perception. We want to certainly be cognizant that the public is watching and try to give them the confidence that staff is adhering to the requirements that we need to adhere to. So it's been 100%, I would say almost perfect. No negative comments at all from the public, none from the council, and none from staff.
Well, thanks, Mr. Bodie, for that response. And for the, for the strategic alignment that we as a council had. It makes it a whole lot easier. So to that end, we will now roll down, unless there's any comments from any of the others, otherwise we will move along to item number 5, additions or approval of the agenda.
Dwayne, do we want to just add the fire thing with Main Prairie and 210th Street?
Does it take council action, or if you want to just,
No, or do we just want to add that into discussion later, or note that we had discussion on that?
It's not required.
Okay,
okay, so you're set there, Brian, that was part of your duty from last month to
Correct.
meet with Main Prairie, and, okay, and that's taken care
I'll
of?
make a motion to approve the current agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
aye.
Contrary, same sign. Any abstentions? Seeing none, passed unanimous. Okay, item number 6, resolutions 2017, acceptance of the April donation, and that was a $150 Intune Marine, Richmond, Minnesota, Rockville Fire Department equipment, $150. What's the wishes of the
I'll make
council?
a motion, accept that donation from the Intune Marine under Resolution 2020-17.
Is there a second to Don's motion?
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to advance Resolution 2020-17. That's the $150 donation. Discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none or hearing none, passed unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. We are now moving along to items of approval of the March and April bills.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the March and April bills.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, there's been, I lost a precious piece of paper, I'll find it here in a second, but anyways, I found it. There is a motion to accept the March and April bills paid, and if there is any conflict of interest, be so kind as to point out when we call for the vote, and I will be abstaining on item number 19741. Any other notations? If not,
Abstaining from check number 019846.
I'd like to abstain from check numbers 019784, 019814, and 019842.
and that's services they serve for the city? Okay. Okay, since we're ready to call the question, all those in favor of that motion, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Sensing none, passed unanimous. We are now at item number 8, consent agenda. This could be approved in one motion if the council so desires.
For the council's information, I need to pull I as an Ida.
Aye, and separate discussion on that?
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay. So a motion would be in order to have the balance of the consent?
Before we go forward, on the approval of the city council minutes for March 11th, that was Monday. We didn't have a meeting on Monday.
You just discovered this tonight, right?
I did. I'll be honest with you, I forgot my packet at home when I left Sunday, and I just got it this evening or this afternoon. So sorry about that.
March 11th is Wednesday.
March 11th, Wednesday.
That
Oh,
was-
wait, no, wait a minute.
March would have been our
I'm looking at
last.
the wrong date. This is, March 11th.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I stand corrected.
There's egg all over your face right
It
now.
helps when you get the right month up on your calendar here.
Okay, so we'll back to what I suggested earlier. A consent agenda motion would be in order for all, or did you want to share? You want an I under separate discussion and action? A motion would be in order for sections A through H.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
motion's been made and seconded to accept the consent agendas, items A through H. Discussion, I will be separate discussion, so A through H, any discussion on that? Sensing none, I shall call the question. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? None. Please proceed, Bill, if you would care on.
The Pleasant Lake Area Homeowners Association is an incorporated organization, and it is also a 501(c)(3). Since it is incorporated, there is a board of directors that oversees all, and well, I should back up. Since the Lake Association is the fiscal agent in regards to the fireworks display, the board has not met and approved this.
The Pleasant Lake Association or homeowners,
So
okay?
it needs to be put off till that board can meet. We've got 3 meetings between.
Oh, okay.
Now and
So it's
July.
not quite ripe for us to act on it yet?
The board it has not approved it, so.
Okay.
Can I ask that the council would take action on it, and if they choose not to approve it, they can deny it?
We could contingent upon the approval.
Well,
Absolutely.
I was thinking about that, but in these rough times and things are going off and everything's getting canceled, I see no problem in waiting.
Who is Becky Hansen? So we have a falsified application?
I haven't got a clue who that is.
Or she's probably, the applicant is the fireworks.
Pyrotechnic.
Yeah, yeah.
If the association decides not to do it, that's irrelevant to the council. If the council wants to approve fireworks, you can approve it. If they choose not to do it, that's fine. Don't do it then.
But if we approve it, she can go ahead and do it.
Yep.
Even if they,
We're the fiscal agent, and that can't happen until they approve it.
That's fine.
So what's the wishes of the council? Do we give it contingent upon that? Do we just not act on it at all? Just defer this decision until next month?
Yeah, I would say we just defer it.
I would say
Okay,
just
postpone
defer it.
this decision
Postpone it until next month, yeah.
time certain of next month?
Yep.
Okay, that's the wishes of the council? Could there be a motion to that effect? Just
you don't.
postpone
You
activity?
don't need a motion to postpone.
You don't?
Unless you call, you drew
Well,
a meeting.
it's on the record.
Yep.
Bill will be back with it next month and
Yep.
we'll go from there. So let's.
No, you're probably right, Mr. Mayor. I
make a
should just-
motion to postpone it
Thank
until
you.
our next.
Yeah, time certain when
Second.
it's brought up again by staff. Is there a second to that?
Yep.
Yes?
Discussion, seeing none, postpone to a time certain when it becomes ripe for us to do it, and that's the item 8J. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Abstentions, none passed. Okay, and so Bill, you'll stay on top of that. Public hearing, water service usage ordinance, amending the water usage ordinance. Bill, would you pursue that? That's the,
Well, this is a public hearing. Before you open the public hearing, I would just tell you there was 3 numbers that were changed. Considering this, the first number was the Pleasant Lake height was changed from 109.3.5 to 109.4.2. Grand Lake was changed from 1104.36 to 1105.36. And then the surfing from shore was changed from 500 feet to 300 feet. So those 3 numbers were the only thing that was changed.
Wasn't that 300? That's what the DNR was kind of in favor for too. Didn't you mention at the last meeting? There was
To
something-
answer your question, the state of Minnesota has tabled any movement on that footage until, I don't have it in front of me, but they have hired an independent research company to figure out that.
Okay, I thought you meant, that's fine.
and
Can
so,
you read those water heights again? Because I think they're different than what I have here.
109.3.5 to 109.4.2,
Okay,
1104.36 to 1105.36.
okay, yeah, okay, I got them right. I just heard it wrong, I guess.
and so it is a public hearing, so we will dispense or we'll recess our board, our council meeting at this point to invite anyone from the public that would care to address the council, to advance to the lectern, to be recognized as it relates to the ordinance 2020-108, amending the water service use ordinance. And I don't see anyone from the public advancing to come to there. Oh, please, to the lectern, and then if you would state your name and address for the records, and then we'll go from there.
My name's Nate Schmitz. Address is 1550 Prairie Drive, Rockville. I'm just curious more or less for my own information, how the footage from shore was reached, and was that something that the DNR approved, or how did that number get brought up
Going from 500 to 300?
Yeah, in 500 in the first place, like where did the DNR say that's what you can do or what you can actually enforce?
The DNR didn't say anything about that. It was through documentary data that was presented actually on a WebEx about a month ago. They're actually recommending 1,000 feet.
Okay,
And so when we proposed this, the width of Pleasant Lake is 1932 and Grand Lake is, 6,000 something. But we could not say on Pleasant Lake that you had to be 1,000 feet
yeah.
from shore. I mean, they give you
Yeah,
a little path.
yeah, no, I understand. I was just curious because by my understanding, the DNR needs to approve any ordinances regarding surface water use
Yes.
on any lake.
And once this goes, then it goes to them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the original amendment was approved by the DNR.
No.
Okay, so,
The
DNR has-
300 foot now has been approved by Stearns County,
okay,
and they're
okay.
hoping the DNR agrees with them.
Okay, so far, they still haven't pushed anything through the DNR.
No.
So they,
Well, we have, but there's a final DNR enforcement division
yes.
that has to give their stamp on
Actually has to
it.
approve
Yep.
that.
Yep,
So, okay, so right now, it's not enforceable until the DNR.
that is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. I
Yep.
wasn't sure how that worked. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
And I think for the public's purpose, this is a kind of a byproduct of the governance review or so of last year when we were talking about all of that, and then to get the DNR to abide by it, we needed to bring it back to 300. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah, and then, I don't think there's anybody else going to talk,
Yeah.
but we do have a written statement from a Jim Bartlemy.
Okay,
I don't think I need to read it, but we'll just submit it with the minutes.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, that was
But he couldn't
presented,
be here.
that was presented to all of our council members. Anyone else from the council or from the public that would care to address the council at this point?
Make a motion
See-
to close the public hearing.
Okay, there's been a motion to close the public hearing and a second. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay, what's the wishes of the council? So
I
Bill,
got a
would-
question on section 7, with the workload of our maintenance people, would it be, why don't we, request the lake owners, lake association people to take care of putting them signs and stuff up, after all it is to protect their property?
The sheriff's department would put them up.
Yeah, take care of that out there.
yeah, the sheriff,
The sheriff would be putting them up, not
Yeah.
our
So it
city.
says the city will be responsible for placement of signs at each public watercraft access.
and their
We're
designee.
just stating that the signs are going to be there.
Right,
Okay.
yeah,
So our people aren't gonna have to do it?
Nope.
that's correct. Yep,
Okay.
yeah, good
Bill,
point.
didn't we pass this last year at 500 feet with different
Yeah.
elevations?
Yeah.
And so we're revamping this because the 300 feet was what was recommended, not the 500 feet?
300 feet is what Stearns,
Yeah, Stearns,
So that's why this is being changed, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Reverting back to that 300, and that's accepted by the county and accepted by
Yep.
DNR and stuff like that,
That's,
so,
that's what I
okay.
thought.
yes,
I do make a motion to approve ordinance 2020-108.
okay. The public,
I
I'm
have
sorry.
one more
it's
question,
close.
if possible, for the council.
Yeah, he's got a question.
yeah, the
We're done with that part, sorry.
Yeah, the public, yeah, we cannot put that anymore at this point,
Just
but
give me a
thanks.
call tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of ordinance 2020-108,
Don?
which is the water service.
I'll second it.
There was a second, correct?
No.
I just did.
Motion, then. he
Oh,
can-
motion, and is there a second?
Yes, I just seconded.
I had telepathy, I knew you were going to do it. Okay, so, motions and a second's been made to accept the amendment and make sure the record shows that Brian did the seconding. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, passed unanimous. Okay, we are now at the department reports, Planning Commission. Mr. Becker, please proceed.
we have two items on the agenda tonight, both involve Gerald J. Molitor. They are to rezone and make a qualified minor subdivision. This property is located in an Ag 40 zoning district. The property is currently a legal non-conforming parcel. Total average acres is approximately I'm just going to say 20 acres. Purpose of the application is to subdivide and then sell half to a family member for a building purpose. Concept plan was reviewed and conditionally approved by the City Council in March. Rezoning required a public hearing, which the Planning Commission held. There was no one there to speak for or against. 10 notices of public hearing were mailed out. So under planning number 1, the Molitor rezoning application, Ag 40 to rural residential, is recommended to be approved.
You've heard the recommendation of the planning and zoning chair to rezone the Molitor request. What's the wishes of the council? Motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion, approve resolution 2020-19, resolution approving rezoning from A40 to RR.
Yeah, and anyone's paying attention, that's on page, I believe, 112. So
second
you've heard
that.
the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept that resolution 2020-20, and that is the, oh, I'm ahead of myself here. That's the rezoning. I'll call the question. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? None. Passed unanimous.
The second part of the Molitor was a qualified minor subdivision with restrictions. So since we have now approved the rural residential with the wetlands in there, they could put approximately 3 homes on those 15 acres, on the 20 acres. 5 would be taken out due to wetland. Planning Commission felt that we should restrict that to just 2 homes, 1 per parcel. And that's what we're recommending to the council.
I'm reading the resolution here, and in the resolution, it doesn't say there's a restriction. How does that play into fact?
Have you got the current resolution, or which one have you got? The one that went out in the packet, I don't know if that was before or after Planning Commission. The one that's on the screen is the one you're looking at.
And so if this council agrees that would be then what, a deed restriction that would be attached to that conveyance of that title?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I could interject.
Sure.
So my thought on this, okay, it's the 20-acre parcel.
Yep, currently.
Meets the RR requirement. There's 1 home there now. Regardless of the wetland, because I'm not saying that doesn't play a factor, but the parcel, whether it's a 5-acre or 10-acre or whatever, has to have a buildable building site on it. So if it doesn't meet that with those other credentials, it's not a buildable site.
True.
So in my opinion, if this is 20 acres and it meets the zoning ordinance and it meets the size, why are we putting a restriction on it? That's my only thought. It's like, to me, it's just putting a jab into anybody that wants to do something in the city. It's like, okay, I met everything, but they're still putting a restriction on it. They would still have to come back to the city to divide that smaller than the 210s, correct?
If we were going to go into platting.
The reason, and Mr. Member Herberg, the resolution in your packet is that resolution. There is the restriction there. Declaration of restricting further subdivisions of tracts A and B. That's in your packet.
Why am I not seeing that?
I don't know. But to clarify the question why the restriction is, this was the application.
Here it is, okay.
The application was to subdivide into 210s.
Right.
So in the spirit of the fact that in order to subdivide a 20-acre parcel in an Ag 40,
Because it's Ag 40 and it's restricted. Huh.
well, it was a legal non-conforming 20 acres. So to make it legal, we had to rezone to RR. So in the spirit of the application, 210s, it was staff's thought to suggest the declaration in honor of the application. The application was for 210s. It wasn't for 3 5s or 4 5s. It was 210s.
And
And if a further council wants to approve of a third parcel, technically in an Ag 40 area, You may have rezoned this to RR, but it was only to make it legal. I'm trying to, I sound confusing, I'm sure. To make the request legal, we needed to rezone to RR.
Correct.
And the request was for 210s, that's all, it's that simple.
And that was my thought process behind all this. It's now RR.
But
So-
you're putting that RR at the end. The RR was first to make it legal. And
Correct.
the request is 210s. You
Correct.
want to give them something they're not asking for.
I'm not giving them, I'm not telling them to subdivide to 5.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, we zoned it RR so we could make this split.
Yeah.
They were asking for 2, but technically they could have 4.
But that'd be another council action at
That
another
would
time.
be
at
another
date.
council action.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, why do we think we need to put a restriction on there? It's still conforming.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm making the argument here.
It might be a moot issue, but it isn't really restricting it because they could come to a future date, they could come to us or a future council.
Absolutely, they could come back and the council could remove the restriction.
Right.
Okay,
The matter is, you had a public hearing, and this is what the public is thinking is going to happen, so why would we change it?
Right, yeah. So the public sees this as a simple split of 10s, 2 10s.
I think
That was
some
the
of the
request.
discussion was, correct me, Marty and Bill if I'm wrong, down the road, if Marty's gone and Bill's gone and I'm gone, somebody's looking at this, that it has to come back to the council because it's got the restriction. It would have to come back regardless. But the same devil's advocate could be played that when the 2 Molitors sell and now the next person wants to buy, they don't know what all this discussion was. They see that there's a deed restriction, they can't split, but technically they could, but they're reading that. So that's why I'm saying I don't think it needs to be in there. Because it's putting something in there that somebody might deter away from at some point, because they weren't privy to this conversation 20 years from now.
At straws.
Well, I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but the fact of the matter is, there was a public hearing, and the planning commission held a public hearing, and the public is assuming it's gonna be 2 10s, and I think that's the way it should stay.
I just don't think it's right to be
You're not
adding
wrong in
stuff.
what you're saying, but
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is,
I just don't think it's right to be adding stuff that doesn't need to be in there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
you got right to your
But
opinion.
we have-
You were overruled.
Yeah, we have in front of us at this point, and I wasn't, with all of that going on, so there is no, is there a motion on the floor at this point?
No.
Okay,
I would make a motion to accept
the recommendations of,
the recommendation as presented.
okay, I'll go so far, is there a second to that motion?
On that resolution 2020-20,
That is correct. That's the approving the qualified subdivision
Right.
with the deed restriction of the, let me just,
technically, we're restricting further subdivision of tracks A
Right.
and B.
that's what we'd be voting
Just
on.
maintains that it stays at 210s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion, continued discussion. Sensing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay.
No, I went aye.
Oh, you went aye? Okay, so we don't need to, pass unanimous.
If it helps, after the fact,
Thanks, Brian.
the ordinance states, council can remove restrictions. That isn't something, I can add that, so if your concern is 20 years down the road, they see this deed and they think they can't remove it, I'm not asking you to approve anything else. The ordinance states councils have the authority. I'll just add that language. Councils have the authority to remove.
If it helps clarity or something like that, but Brian is right. We don't want to send a signal out there that says this is a sacred, as a cow of Indian, you can't touch it, that there's 10 acres and you can't do anything with it. Yes, they can do something with it.
That's all I'm trying to
Yeah,
clarify.
Yeah.
I follow, I know what you're saying.
Yep,
Right.
okay. Clear as mud.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are now at the fire department. So Bill, you're done with, okay? Fire department, and at this stage of the game, it truly is an honor. And in every city, there are ordinary people that do extraordinary services for and behalf of the city. And so tonight, we want to take a moment to recognize such an individual in the city of Rockville, and that is an appreciation of service to Brenda Lodemeyer, Rockville Fire Department, and there's a lot of stuff that Marty wrote up, and in the essence of time, I'll just kind of highlight, and I believe it states that the appreciation shows that she has served to the community of Rockville 27 plus years. And so the city of Rockville and the Rockville Fire Department wish to thank you for your services and dedication to one Brenda Lodemeyer, and a superb job. And so to that end, a round of applause if she could hear us. That would be in order, and she probably can't, but she is not here tonight, nor do I see the fire chief here tonight. So Mr. Bodie, would you be so kind as to make sure that an appropriate time when she would be properly presented with this, and if there's a photo op available, please make sure that that happens or something like that. So I'll give it to you at the end of the meeting, and we'll go from there. And Brenda, thank you very much. Comments, anybody? Don, you served on the fire department for many years over there. Okay, very good. And thank you, Brenda. So now, moving right along, Public Works written report, sweeping, and it looks like there's some council action that needs to be done here.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, each one of those three, I think, is just, let's do the action. Aztec, we only received one quote, and that work is actually done, so this is an after-the-fact approval. Road grading, we received one quote from Herberg Construction, so I would assume Mr. Herberg will abstain from any discussion or action. Number 3 is dust control. We received 2 quotes, and the low bid, and its staff recommendation to approve CMDC as the lowest qualified bidder.
And that we could do in one council action?
I would ask for 3 if you don't mind.
No problem with that. And so-
I'll make a motion to approve the street sweeping.
And is there a second to that? Motion's been made in second. Discussion. And if I could, Mr. Bodie, and that is the one that did the actual thing, and it comes out to $55,000. That was Knife River. If we do the equation, and this one was like 44,000 or something like that, if we do the total arithmetic and calculations or something like that. So it's obvious that they were the parent low, the thing is qualifying bidder. So do they have any bond or anything that needs to be addressed? Nothing? Okay. So it would be in order for you if there's any other discussion. Otherwise, we'll ask for the, I'll call the question. Any other discussion? Any of the three?
Just for the street sweeping, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we had a motion?
One. For the
Just
street
one, each
sweeping.
one.
Individually
Two
we're
and
doing
3.
it. Oh, okay, I stand corrected. So, street sweeping, quote, that was a motion,
Yes.
second?
Yes.
A motion's been made in second to accept the street sweeping quote, Aztec. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? None, passed unanimous.
Motion has been made to approve the road grading and blading.
Okay, motion's been made, second? Second for the road grading quote or bid? I'll second that motion. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I would like to reflect that I abstained.
Okay, Mr. Herberg has abstained on the action of the council as it relates to the blading of the road grading quotes. Thank you very much. Let's go to item number 3, dust control quotes. And I got ahead of myself. That's the 2 quotes that Mr. Bodie was alluding to. What's the wishes of
I
the
would make a
council?
motion to approve the CMDC as the low bidder for dust control.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and second to accept the CMDC quote for dust control. Additional discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Sensing none, passed unanimous. Administrator and Mr. Administrator Bodie, Mr. Bodie, would you care to share with us the late-breaking news that is just arrived via whatever? Our governor has on at 6, and he has something to point out.
Well, I'll read it from NPR News. Governor Tim Walz will let his stay-at-home order expire as planned on Sunday night. More in-store retail operation and group gatherings of 10 or fewer will be allowed. He is expected to provide more details on the move later in his speech today.
Nice.
Okay, so to that end, I sense a comment coming from Mr. Simon in a second. Yes, Mr. Bodie?
I would still encourage, I didn't know if you wanted it, I would still encourage the adoption of that resolution.
Yes, when we get to that, council, and I agree with you. So Don, please
I just
proceed.
wanted to make a comment back on that dust control there. There's a lot of roads I came back on, Half Man and that road today. I think the last year or two, we put that dust control on. We had that little bit of rain and the soil is really just controlled the dust. And like what Brian said, I think we put another coat on, like Jerry's always been pushing for that. The road is staying pretty good. The dust is really, it takes just a little rain. If they put, I don't know how thick they'll put it on, but I think we're gaining there. It's keeping the soil on the road. And also when it got nice here and I could finally get out and about, I did a lot of trash pickup at a ditch and I found there was very little. I think it's a little more of a gravel is staying on the road too in the wintertime when the guys are plowing. So I think it's probably helping there. I just want to make that.
Dust control all roads or?
No, there's
200.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Gravel 30th Street.
Is it in the bid?
Well, I was just
Resolution.
saying, Brian, that I drove that, which one is it out here that we?
230th.
I think if that was dust control, I didn't think it was as bad as, I didn't think it was bad. But I think if dust control would really help that road out.
230th Street gets sprayed. Agate Beach and Mitchell get sprayed. About half of Half Man gets sprayed. 2 spots on Glacier, and that's all we spray.
that's heavily traveled.
Money.
Yeah, it's the heavily traveled roads. I think that position is
It seems to be working quite well.
Well, that's why I'm saying.
No, I mean,
The
the
roads
amount
are
that
roads.
the amount that
Somebody
we've
will
been
spend.
doing has been working quite well. Keep in mind, on part of Rouse Lake Road here gets sprayed too. Keep in mind when you spray it, that doesn't mean it doesn't get bladed after that. We still blade a couple times. It cuts the blading down considerably, but you still end up getting holes and chuck holes in it, and so you gotta straighten that stuff out. We do blade a little bit different on the sprayed stuff because we don't get as aggressive with it. And we try to keep the sprayed stuff back on top of the road. So it just fills the holes back in and levels it back out. And we do it when it's wet and it packs it back down and it stays pretty good again for a while, so.
okay. Great. We are now past the administration portion, item 11, and going to item number 12, unless you had anything else, Mr. Bodie, no? Okay, council action, appropriations, allocations, transfers under 12A, resolution 2020- whatever, resolution report supporting the city of Rockville business. That's what we had a substantial amount of our discussion during the workshop earlier, and I think it's still very, very relevant at this stage of the game, the resolution that was drafted by our legal counsel, and some of us chimed in on it, and so now would be the time for us to bring that back up. And now it was not circulated in the packet because it was not yet created at that stage of the game. And that resolution, if we pass it tonight and sending the right signal to the governor that the supporting of the city of Rockville businesses is sending the right signal, so I'm lobbying on that behalf, and that if it does pass, that Mr. Bodie, you would have that put into the into Rockville News or into the put it on the webpage for the public to see what it is, because it didn't get it circulated.
After all the discussion previous, I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution 2020-21.
You second it?
Yeah, a number of whereases, and then now therefore be it resolved, and it's a one-pager. It's very succinct. A lot of the communities are doing it, and so to that point, I think for us, when we look at our strategic alignment for our council, hopefully we're sending a signal out there to the businesses, and that's what the resolution's all about. So there is a motion on the floor.
I think if you read that therefore, that would be helpful.
Oh, if you read that, no, therefore.
Okay, it's the last two paragraphs, therefore, that the City Council of Rockville hereby requests relief from Governor Walz's executive orders closing these non-critical local businesses. That the City Council of Rockville urges Governor Walz to restore the power of issuing emergency orders and implementation related to the COVID-19 pandemic to individual municipalities and local government agencies to determine whether non-critical local businesses can safely reopen, while reserving to the governor the power and authority over critical sectors, including but not limited to meat processing plants, hospitals, long-term care facilities. Adoption by the City Council of Rockville on this 13th day of May.
And
So
that
we
is-
have a motion and a second.
And that's a resolution 2020-21. And there's a motion and a second on the floor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, additional discussion? Sensing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Resounding aye. Those opposed, nay. Abstention, seeing none, passed unanimous. Hopefully, to the business people of Rockville, that sends a signal that we're in you with you in this, and we realize the hurt, and this is a unique way of us showing that in unified effort here from the council. Okay, we are getting close to the end. We have Sandy Hillskin Memorial Bench donation. It's an FYI.
Very nice, very, very nice.
Yes.
Say again, oh, I'm sorry.
I just said it's very nice.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah. It's been placed, it's on just beyond what was known as the Cow Mart, and it's on city property, a couple of trees, and a nice.
Oh, that's where it is.
Yes, and so for the public that may see that, it was a donation, and Mr. Bodie, you might be able to embellish a little bit. It's on the screen for the public to see right now. For those of you who don't have that, but you have the Rockville council packet in front of you, you'll see it on the last 2 pages of that thing. And so to the Hillskin family, we thank you for that generous offer to the city of Rockville, and continued having, as a memorial states, a moment of peace out there. So it does not take council action at this point. I believe city staff, Public Works worked with the Hillskin family. Is that correct, Mr. Bodie?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else other at this point? It appears that we will not have our last Monday of the month meeting in May because of lack of items that need to be. And so we will not have our regular first Monday, or last Monday of the month council meeting. So the records will show that, the calendar will show that. And so Mr. Bodie felt also that it was not needed at this stage of the game. So
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded and thirded to adjourn. All those in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.